How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I am here with Matthew Pastrana. We are going to be talking about the National Anthem controversy that took place over this weekend. Matt, you can say hi.
Hello. Good to be
Hi.
back.
Yes, yeah. So that's the thing, dude, is so many I've asked so many different people from all sides of the political aisle to be on this show, right? I've asked like people that I agree with, some people I don't agree with, and there are some, conservatives mostly that I don't agree with on everything that have agreed to, come on at some point, but I really want to get multiple different viewpoints in on the show
hmm
or in the videos just so we can, have just a better conversation. It's not just me saying things to a camera. It's people talking to each other because I feel like that's a more effective way to cover a topic.
Yeah, definitely, Jake.
Yeah, so with protesting the anthem. So this is largely due to it happened yesterday, Sunday. NFL, so many people sat or didn't. The Steelers, only one player actually came out to do the anthem. He was a military veteran. His whole other team sat back in the locker room, and the coach of the Steelers even said that he was disappointed in him for going out and saluting the flag for the country that he fought for, and he received awards for rescuing soldiers under enemy fire, and so obviously a hero, like definition of a hero right there. Um,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
this all started with Trump. You would agree, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the main
definitely.
focus of the protest. Now here's my opinion on what Trump's remarks, and I'll ask you what you think about that too. I think that Trump, it's so stupid for Trump to say that ESPN should fire these people, right? I don't think that the president should be telling a business, oh, you should be telling your employees to do this and this and this, right? I don't think the president has any business in saying things like that. I think they have every right to protest it. I might think it's disrespectful, but I want to put that out there first, and I think you would agree that these people have every right to protest the flag. Would you agree?
I would agree that it is up to the company to make the decision, but I can tell you from being the son of business owners and maybe being a future business owner one day, if I were an organization and an employee, for example, were to make remarks that my company didn't believe with, they could expect to get either pay cuts or termination of their employment, not just because of I agree they have their right to freedom of speech, but if it affects my business as a whole, I can see why they I would need to fire someone because they might be harming my ability to do my job as an employer.
Right, and I mean, I agree with you, and I think we're seeing that too. The NFL had really, really poor ratings yesterday. You saw jersey sales for that one Steelers veteran he was the only player that stood up. I mean, his sales just skyrocketed in jersey sales. So it just goes to show like how many Americans actually really, really care about this issue and really care about the patriotism. So I want to tell a story, and you'll remember this story. So, me and Matthew, we both go to the same high school. And when we were freshmen, so a few years ago, when we were freshmen, we were at the basketball game. It was the state basketball game. The whole school got the day off of school to go watch it. And during the national anthem, the seniors at the very end of it, they yelled out stars, right? Because that's our logo, or like our, we're the Holy Angel Stars. And so instead of Home of the Brave, when the person was singing, all the seniors yelled out stars, which, you would agree that's completely disrespectful, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was disrespectful. I mean, I get it. It was a big basketball game, and it's just kind of our thing. But I can see if we do it at home games, it's acceptable. It's acceptable because it's kind of our thing. But we were in like Minnesota State. We were in a stadium, a big stadium at that, and someone else was singing the national anthem, and it was people who sing the national anthem take a lot of pride in being able to do it. When we do it at our school
Yeah.
alone, it's just a recording. But when it's that, it's kind of disrespectful to do it. But
Yeah.
I remember this. Yeah.
So my point isn't necessarily that it happened. My point is the response of it, because I think this goes to show that people really do care about disrespecting the anthem. Our school actually got a number of complaints of about disrespecting the anthem. First of all, and this is a little bit less significant when we're talking about respect to the anthem, the father of the performer who sang the anthem was very mad, thought that, it was disrespectful to her. But then a military veteran also had something to say about it and actually wrote to the school, and even worse off, a widow of a veteran wrote to the school with its concerns. So it just goes to show the kind of people that this affects. It's really quite significant. I mean, a widow of a veteran. I can't imagine what that feels like, to see people sitting facing the flag that your husband died for. It would just be amazing to me.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, but I think after all these things are coming out, a lot of players are starting to realize their mistake. And in fact, I don't know if you know this, but Ben Roethlisberger, who is the quarterback for the Steelers, which was the team where the only one player came out, he went out to the media and said he apologized for doing it, that it doesn't really go with his beliefs. I think this entire thing is really opening up a lot of eyes to what the flag truly represents, which in a way is a good thing, because we've been having a lack of disrespect. We've been having a lack of respect for the flag for a long time now, I think. And I think our generation and the newer generations as a whole have been not brought up in the same way the older generations have, with respect for those who have served and died for our country, and those who fight still today to protect it.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I definitely think there's a different attitude in culture towards respect for America. Because, I talked about this in one video. Kids are taught now about how awful America is, and why we should hate how America is, and things like that. But I want to go on to some instances to where the NFL has, and this is where the NFL has it's really messed up, right? So when the St. Louis Rams player engaged in the hands up, don't shoot protest in 2014, if you remember, players walked onto the field with their hands up because of the Michael Brown shooting, which was just portrayed as a total lie to the public. Obama knew it, and he still went along with it. Every media outlet, I would hope, knew it, and they still played with this narrative. And I can make another video on that later to clarify what I mean by that. But the league did nothing, right? When Dallas Cowboy players wanted to wear Dallas police decals to honor the department after the massacre of officers, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dallas Cowboys players wanted to wear things to honor the police, and the NFL turned them down. They said, no, we're banning that. We're not going to allow you to do that, right? And then when Kaepernick knelt for the anthem, right, and all these other players followed, the NFL didn't do anything. But then when some players wanted to wear cleats on 9/11, honoring the fallen, the NFL said, no, we're going to fine you. So NFL is clearly taking a side here, and it's a very leftist side, where they're only letting things that fit their agenda happen, right? So there's actually specific evidence or specific instances. So in 2013, the wide receiver from the Chicago Bears was fined $5,250 for wearing green shoes in honor of Mental Health Awareness Week, right? And it was Brandon Marshall. Him himself suffered from borderline personality disorder, right? So he was wearing this to bring awareness to people with mental health, and the NFL said, sorry, you can't do that. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers running back, he was fined almost $6,000 for wearing a Find the Cure eye black with the message, we will find the cure, printed along with a pink ribbon. Right? So his mother died of breast cancer too. So he's bringing awareness to breast cancer, and the NFL, no, we're not going to let you bring awareness to breast cancer. Right? Another Steelers player, this happened again in 2015, wore purple cleats to bring attention to domestic violence. His mom was killed in an act of domestic violence, and he's trying to bring awareness to it, and NFL says, no, we're going to fine you $6,000. Right? And this happened multiple other times. Someone's, father died of bone cancer. They wore a black eye to honor their father, and they ended up getting fined. Stuff like that. So if kneeling for the national anthem as free speech is fine with the NFL, but speaking out for the fights against breast cancer and domestic violence is a problem, then the league is the problem, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I just gotta say, I totally agree with you, and that it's kind of such backwards thinking to not say anything about such a big topic about like the NFL hasn't really done anything to say they approve or disapprove of the acts of their players. But when it comes to like standing up for 9/11, you said they immediately interject and say that they disapprove of it. It's kind of backwards, and it just definitely shows their agenda. And it's insane to me that they would do such a thing.
I know. I mean, when they're saying sorry, you can't support breast cancer. Sorry, you can't support domestic violence. Sorry, you can't support all these different things. By the way, speaking of domestic violence, it's so ironic to me that it's the football players standing up against police brutality because the thing is, football players are arrested all the time for things like drunk driving, drug offenses, domestic violence, assault and battery, gun violations, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. There's theft, burglary, and even in some cases, rape and murder. So a lot of the ways that these players treat women is crazy. The average between arrests is just 7 days for football players. Right, that's how long they can go without one player getting arrested. And Donald Trump tweeted this out, I believe today, and it was a very clever tweet. He said, "If only Roger Goodell cared as much about domestic abuse and traumatic brain injury as he does about disrespecting America." Hashtag NFL. Right, so Roger Goodell, obviously one of the people in NFL, right? I mean, he's willing to accept players that have history of beating women and beating their children. But then he's like, oh well, it's fine to sit for the flag. I mean, it's ironic because the NFL has a long history of embracing players who have been involved in brutality. So for the players to now protest brutality, I just think is all very ironic.
And I'm just gonna bring up. I'm gonna move on to the next point of view. I'm gonna say is that the point of view I have on the entire subject as a whole is that I'm not. I understand that it's the right to protest, and I believe that everyone should have the right to protest. And
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's so many other ways that you can go about it besides disrespecting our flag, which literally has nothing to do with police brutality. And I gotta say, a lot of the media coverage has been all about how Trump sees it. Everyone's saying Trump, it's all about race, but it's not really about race. It's about the fact that they're disrespecting our flag, and the flag stands for so much for so many people that it's really disrespectful to be kneeling and not standing for our national anthem. And that also, you had another really good point about what were you saying about the flag again? About the point of view?
Uh, oh, when I was saying that it's not really fair for people to protest the national anthem on the basis of police brutality, given the lack of statistical evidence of
Yeah.
national law enforcement discrimination against innocent black Americans. I mean, I'll make another video on this, but there really is not a lot of evidence, if any, to support the idea that cops are just walking around and, oh, a black person, boom, boom. No. There's really no evidence of that, right? No evidence of any statistical trends, anything like that. Yes, there's anecdotal situations where there's unjustified shootings with cops. But what groups like Black Lives Matter tries to do is they try to draw a trend from an anecdote. You can't do that, right? You need a series of anecdotes that match up. Then you can create a trend. There is no trend to suggest that black people are just being shot in crazy numbers by the cops. There just isn't. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, you made a lot of really good points, and I 100% agree with you on everything you said. And I just want to leave on my final remarks by saying that I think that I believe that once again that everyone has the right to protest and everyone should protest because that's the entire point of a democracy where we get to express our ideas and those ideas are put into action by the people we elect. But the fact that we're disrespecting something that holds so much value to us as a whole, and that so many people look up to and so many people have faith in. It's one thing that's good about, because America is the greatest country on this planet. I firmly believe that, and anyone who lives here is very lucky because we have a lot of freedoms, a lot of liberties. A lot of people don't, and we should be praising those liberties and giving thanks for them, not disrespecting them and just treating them with awful things.
Yeah, I completely agree. For the last thing I'm gonna say again, I think you have every right to do whatever you want. I just think it's incredibly disrespectful. I think when a military man with no legs has to hold himself up in his chair by the handles with all his strength just so he can stand for the anthem and pay his respects, right? I think it's so pathetic and sad. I think a veteran who is paralyzed from the waist down, holding themselves up with crutches just so he can show his respect for the people that he fought with and who died with him. That's the kind of stuff that we stand for, and that's the reason we stand for. And to kneel down is just a big slap in the face to all of it, and it's disrespectful to anyone who's served, to any widows. I mean, I can't imagine family members of people in war right now, how they would feel. You have to think about this, right? For some people, the flag is all that comes back, right? They get the flag folded up on the coffin, and that's all you get, right? You don't get your family member returning. That's why we stand for the anthem. So that's all I have to say on the matter.
Well, it was good being on the YouTube channel again. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely fun to have different conversations with you. Hopefully, we can get some more different people on here as well, so we can just have a bigger pool of opinions. And until next time, that's gonna be it.